Hello guys, welcome back to Comic Book Cafe, and today we're going to talk about Superior Spider-Man number 33, which is a Spider-Verse tie-in book. Now, Spider-Verse, quite frankly, if I was a teenage kid back in the day, this would have been like my dream thing. Taking all the Spider-Man that have ever been and throwing them in one kind of big crossover event together. This was kind of a cool thing. Why adding new Spider-Man, which they're doing at the same time. Now, when they originally switched over to Doc Ock and Peter Parker's body as Spider-Man, I hated the idea. I loved Peter Parker as a character, read the books, for many years, being in high school until we got to the Clone Saga, and then that's where I lost reading the book because the Clone Saga just dragged on way too long. It got so muddled down, it made me just quit wanting to read the books altogether. Years later, I'd pick up the book again, and that's no longer going on. But that was such a bad storyline, it really turned me off to reading the books. And it drug out forever. And when I got to the third new Peter Parker, outside of Kane and Ben Reilly, I was like, I'm done. Forget it, I'm done. So in this case, it's a crossover with all the Spider-Men that have existed. Ones you know, ones you don't know, one's a different form, like the six-armed Spider-Man, which was like basically like a Demi Spider-Man, which was like the clone Spider-Man. This one is just a six-armed Peter Parker, right? Spider-Man. And there's a bunch of different ones, Assassin Spider-Man, all kinds of different Spider-Men in this book, not including Doc Ock. And it was good to see this character, because I love this character, actually. Over time, over the 2 years, or almost 3 years this book was around, I've grown to like the Doc Ock Spider-Man, because he was different, he did things differently. And I really do hope, out of the end of this, they find a way to keep him around, because I really think it'd be kind of cool to keep around. I don't think they're killing off Doc Ock. He's got to be around somehow, but anyway, let's talk about this book. Now, I actually enjoyed this book because this book goes into... So, we start with this book with Superior Spider-Man and all these other Spider-Man around him, including what would be the plain Jane Peter Parker Spider-Man that we know. And they fight Karn, which is the person hunting down the Spider-Man. Or at least you think it's the only person to be in this book hunting down the Spider-Man. And, of course, Doc Ock being himself, he thinks he knows how to beat him, and he thinks he has him trapped. He's like, oh, I got him, and he finds out he doesn't. That didn't really work at all. And they find out that, basically they can track Spider-Man, or what Totems, or whatever they call them. And they want to kill him. That's what they find out, that there's more than one, that this is a family, and that they want to, their only thing is to hunt down Spider-Man and kill him. Spider Totems, as they call them. They're trying to expand this into, like, there was more Spider-Man than just, today kind of thing. And throughout time, there was always Spider-Man or something. Anyway, there was a lot of cool Spider-Man in this book. Assassin Spider-Man, and just a bunch of cool different Spider-Man. But despite all the Spider-Man, they just couldn't beat the bad guys. And then when they kind of make a little lay with Karn a lot, his brother and sister show up, and they're clearly outnumbered. And so they get out of there. While they're getting out of there, they see that the brother and Karn and his brother and sister start fighting. They're clearly not all on the same page or getting along. And so that was basically the gist of this book, that part of the book. Now, the second half of the book was actually about Karn's backstory and his family's backstory, of how he's different than the rest of the family. How the family just want to, like, kill and murder Spider Totems, as they call them. He does not. And because of that, because he didn't kill one they wanted him to kill, ultimately his mom got killed, and so in order to punish him, his family now make him wear basically what looks like a diver's mask. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. From now on, he can't see his face, and that he's forever going through time, jumping through time to kill Spider-Man, Spider Totems, and that someday, each jump he thinks he's getting closer to home, he doesn't really know. And that's how they basically end the book. Again, an interesting little twist. because who are they going to, like, what other Spider-Man going to see? Because obviously in Edge of Spider-Verse, the book's going to show you new Spider-Man or Spider-Man stories of some of the other Spider-Man. So overall, it was a good book. Love Doc Ock. Kind of cool to see how he thinks he's so much better than everybody else, all the Spider-Man, and because most of the Spider-Man are Peter Parker, he thinks they're stupid and they're not nearly as, and there's only two others that he considers like himself that are not like good. They're like a girl Spider-Woman, an assassin Spider-Man, and he tries to make some kind of pact because they've seen dark stuff that Peter Parker and them haven't seen and done, and they may have to, in their case, Spider-Man understands they may have to wipe out this family hunting them down in order to end this, and he knows that the Peter Parker's Spider-Men are not going to do this. They don't have the heart to do this, but that they may have to do it, even may have to take care of the other Spider-Man to get the job done, which is rather an interesting twist. So, overall enjoyable book. Just because I love his character, and unfortunately there are not going to be more books of him, unfortunately. At least what it seems for right now. So, what did you think of Superior Spider-Man 33? Did you like the story? Did you like seeing Doc back as Spider-Man one more time? Where do you think they're going? Because again, there's going to be this big event with this thing. This thing's going on for a while. We'll see how it turns out, what happens. I've kind of already seen the pre-order, so I already know one of the clone Spider-Man that have not been in the book will make an appearance and be back again for a little bit, at least in the future. So, who do you hope to see Spider-Man-wise in Edges, in the Spider-Verse thing you haven't seen yet? What do you think of the story? Well, guys, overall I think it was an enjoyable book. It was a enjoyable book in the fact that you learned a little bit more about what's going on, like with the enemy, and you learned a little, obviously with the second story, you learn who the enemy is and that they're hunting him down, but you still don't exactly know why they're hunting him down and killing him. But anyway, let me hear your guys' opinions, and I will talk to you guys later for another comic book video.